Hello to all my colleagues in Brazil, and thank you to Eben for inviting me to address your conference. What a great title, Environment and Working Conditions at the Professional Practice of Nursing. Today I bring you greetings from ICN and the 27 million nurses that I represent. I visited Brazil many times and enjoyed your country very much. I know that, like Ireland, you love your music and your dance. It's been a difficult 1.5 years, nearly 2 years now, since the pandemic in 2020. The world was ill prepared. Systems were weak. And in the words of the independent review on pandemic preparedness, they said, the world was ill prepared and we must do better. And we must do better. Many nurses died over the last 2 years. And WHO indicated in May that 115,000 health workers died. Many of those will be nurses. We know that that is not a correct figure. We know that it's an underestimate. We have asked on many occasions at ICN for countries to collect accurate data, not just on healthcare workers, but on nurses who have died and who have contracted the disease. Because without that information, we cannot protect nurses into the future. Many of those nurses and healthcare workers who died because of insufficient PPE, lack of preparedness, lack of protection, lack of infection protection, and education. We cannot let that happen again. Nurses had a hard 2 years, not just through the pandemic, but looking after other patients and with many other conditions throughout the world, like natural and man-made disasters, fires, earthquakes, and civil war. But nurses, like they always do, meet this with courage, with resilience, with compassion, with care, with leadership, and with great skill. And I'm proud of the work that nurses have done all over the world, and particularly you in Brazil. I'm proud to be your president. 2020 was the year of the nurse and the midwife. We had envisaged increasing the profile of nurses, increasing the visibility, celebrating, and making the most of this very first year that was announced by WHO as the year of the nurse and the midwife. But that didn't happen because of the pandemic. But what the year did show, and what the pandemic did show, was that nurses are the backbone of the service. No health system can operate without nurses. We showed the great care that nurses give. There was more visibility of nurses than ever before, both in the media, in society, and at government level. But we have to build on that visibility. We cannot remain stationary. We cannot accept that will go on. We, all the nurses throughout the world, and you, the nurses in Brazil, must be stronger, must bring unity and cooperation, collaboration. And I know that you are doing that in Eben. This is your 72nd Brazilian Nursing Conference. And the theme is very apt, the working conditions of the practice of nurses. We went into this pandemic 6 million nurses short, according to WHO, State of the World's Nursing Report. ICN has collected information on the number of nurses that will leave the profession in the next 10 years. and we estimate that 4.7 million will leave the profession. That combined makes up to around 10.7 million nurses. Added to that, our information from our national nurses associations throughout the world indicate that many nurses plan to leave the profession early. And we estimate that to be around 10%, around 2 to 3 million nurses. That means that we could be looking at losing half the profession of the current 27 million nurses. That is a tsunami ready to happen, and a pandemic worse than the current COVID-19. Governments together and the World Health Assembly agreed on a strategic direction for nursing and midwifery. That direction is based on the report from the State of the World's Nursing Report from 191 countries. That report and the strategic direction indicates that there has to be investment in nursing. There has to be building of capacity of nurses. We have to build on your education, on expanding your roles, on you being allowed to work to your full competence as specialist nurses and advanced practice nurses. You have to be allowed to be part and parcel of every policy-making decision and to be recognized as leaders in health systems. It is important that we all collaborate to make this happen. ICN works at global level with all the World Health Organization, with the UN, with the G7 and the G20, and many of our colleagues in other professions, like our medical colleagues, our pharmaceutical colleagues, our physiotherapy colleagues, and many, many more agencies, in order to have nurses to the forefront of policy-making decisions. You are the ones that know most about healthcare. You are the ones that treat the person, his family, and his community, not just the disease. So you, in turn, know what's needed in every health system delivery. And you must work in a safe environment. You must be protected, you must be supported, and your mental and physical health must be looked after. And I want you to acknowledge that health is your human right too. Over the last 2 years, and many years before that, for the International Nurses Day Guide, we collected many case histories from countries all over the world of the great work that nurses are doing, the new initiatives that they are doing in order to bring healthcare to society and bring it closer to the patients. We have seen during this pandemic that nurses are creating ideas in order to reach out to the most vulnerable in society. And when patients aren't coming into the hospital, to find ways of supporting those patients in their home and their community. I wish you success with your conference. I thank you for all you do today and every day into the future. I ask you to make sure that you collaborate with your colleagues, not just in Brazil, but across the world. ICN has brought nursing associations closer than ever before over the last 2 years. We may not have been able to meet each other, but virtually we can reach out to many, many more nurses throughout the world. Thank you to your president. Thank you, Ben, for inviting me to speak to you, and I wish you every success. Thank you.